Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Comeback, an action movie from 2023 that is a co-production between Hong Kong and China. I was excited for this movie because it's a new action flick that stars Simon Yam and Andy On. I'm a big fan of both actors. I think Simon Yam is one of the best actors from the Hong Kong film industry of all time, and Andy On is always just fun to watch in action flicks, so let's see how this one turned out here. Uncle Hua, played by Simon Yam, who had lived in the old street for many years, is highly respected by his neighbors and had always made a living selling antiques. When faced with difficulties, finding Uncle Hua has almost become the living principle of the neighbors in this area. Because of the real estate business, the old street was forcibly demolished by the local Green Dragon gang. 6 dead bodies, 7 passports, and guns were accidentally found inside the wall of Uncle Hua's antique shop, which caused everyone to be shocked. At the same time, Uncle Hua was pursued by a mysterious organization led by Andy On. Now, first and foremost, the story in The Comeback, it's kind of dumb and confusing. So you take the opening scene, right? You're trying to get settled into this movie, and it just refuses to allow you to do this. We have Andy On talking with some guy in a shady meeting about certain coordinates to locate an arms dealer who we don't know yet. The conversation's kind of rushed and abrupt. Meanwhile, a woman seduces and knocks out a man, then takes his motorcycle to participate in a race on a track. And Andy On wins his bet on the track, but double crosses the other guy in a meeting, while some other random guy in a car shoots another guy in the head. And as a viewer, when all this is going down, you're just wondering, what the heck is going on in this movie right now? There's really very little context or proper setup to anything that we're seeing here. It's very confusing. Then, immediately after that short scene, we're transported to a different location where a pickpocket accidentally steals a man's gun. Who is this man? And the other cloaked dudes walking around. Who is the woman? Who knows? Simon Yam gets shot in the head, somehow is alive a few minutes later. Was there a time jump? How long was it? Is this a Hong Kong version of The Bourne Identity, since he appears to have lost his memory after that, but he may have been an elite killer before? I don't know. Who knows? That's the feeling you get early on here. You know what I'm saying? So, and then even after that, right, you're still trying to get situated, and then you get this gang from the plot synopsis. They're pressuring people to sell their businesses. And this is all within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and it's impossible to keep track of. And I'm used to Hong Kong movies getting off to a fast start, but Act 1 of The Comeback is a mess. Kind of gives me a headache thinking about it. Now, this film does have pacing issues because of this, in both directions. The opening 20 minutes are just too fast, and then the 20 minutes that follow are almost kind of too slow. Thankfully, though, by the 40-minute mark, all right, the movie finally kind of settles in to a more engaging, simplified, streamlined conflict and plot. And you basically got Simon Yam and his allies going up against Andy On and his allies, and then it's much easier to keep track of at that point. So things do improve, and The Comeback becomes a moderately entertaining experience, I think. Now, there is a romance subplot, which I usually don't like in movies. It's between the cop and a pickpocket lady. She's a rather attractive lady, too. She gets an amusing scene involving a weapon at one point. I like the cop character, though, and he's humorous without being over the top. At one point, he goes into this bathhouse, and he walks out in a towel. It's almost like a public bath. And he comes out in a towel, and he's just got his gun sticking out with with a pair of handcuffs, and he's just standing there. I kind of like the guy. I don't know. He was quite amusing. I found it oddly funny, but I didn't really mind the romance between them. It's not that developed, but I don't know. I just kind of liked both of those side characters, and all the actors do a good job here. There's even a little kid who's cute. You gotta have a cute kid running around, and she gets a few heartwarming little moments with Simon. So at the end of the day, though, I thought the protagonists were likable, even though the script really is not very good in this, and they're not really that well developed. But the action is why we're here, okay? So what about the action? I think it's a mixed bag, okay? The hand-to-hand combat is the weakest element. It's decent with some odd digital effects thrown in. You know, the opening fight, all right, you get it with Andy on, which is good. But he uses like a lightsaber whip that just like comes out of nowhere, takes some dudes out, and then he uses some billiard balls and pool sticks, right? Which is, hey, I like that type of like surrounding items to use, right? It's decently choreographed, but there's like a modern digital feel to it. They use some CGI billiard balls instead of like, practical effects, and it kind of diminishes the impact a little bit, and the editing's a little off too. So you're already kind of feeling this could be a dodgy action flick. There's an action scene involving the pickpocket, decent enough. Again, the editing and close-up shots kind of limit its effectiveness, but there are a few pretty good kills involving guns and bladed weapons. Now, the first scene that I liked quite a bit was the bathhouse shootout scene, which I thought was pretty fun. I think the gunplay in the movie does work better than the hand-to-hand fighting, if only because there's some nice collateral damage to like the walls and glass, and it felt like they were using squibs, or at least the digital effects were better in that. So I did like the bathhouse shootout. That was pretty cool. And the finale is good too. They use a drone strike, which is kind of neat. And there's a motorcycle scene that was pretty cool as well. As an added bonus, Yun Hua shows up in like a small supporting role, and he gets a fight that's like pretty decent, I thought, in a waterlogged aquarium setting. So yeah, it's this movie's action isn't great, but it like does just enough to be kind of satisfying. Even the final death scene is good too. So again, if you're going into this just for like, high quality Hong Kong action, you might be disappointed, but I still think it provides enough moments of entertainment value. Now, in terms of production values, this has some stylish lighting with some deep colors. This is evident early on with like a rainstorm and green lighting in a dark street. We get more greens and oranges later. I like the atmosphere, but, especially when there are no digital effects on screen, or no obvious ones. It looks good. But there are a limited number of locations, which I found kind of odd, which makes the movie feel kind of small and claustrophobic. So, again, kind of a mixed bag, but net positive, I would say. So in a nutshell, I would say The Comeback is a mixed bag of a film, but I do think it does enough to be like watchable. If you're a more forgiving action junkie, okay? I would not classify this as a high priority despite the actors, but if you're looking for some time to kill and you really like the actors, you could do worse than this. So if you've seen it, let me know what you think. I'm not sure if most people will like it, but hey, it'll be interesting to see. And it's currently available streaming. I want to say it was on Hiya, the Hiya website, and it might be on some other spots as well. As always, folks, I'll see you next time.